Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy. It's GTO. It's Vibes with GTO. And I just want to start with this. Elections, they have consequences. I've said that before. I say it again. And one of the things I thought about, see, I was raised in South Georgia, and down in South Georgia, a lot of farms. So went home, went to go see my mom, passed by a lot of farms, a lot of small cities. And this is something that I thought about, a lot of people voted the way they voted, and I'm not knocking that, but there are certain things that we really have to understand, and that's where understanding history, education, all those things are important. So we don't have people that just, believe anything or go for anything when politicians talk, because time will show that politicians they really live by do as I say and not as I do. So when it comes to the farmers, and I was just thinking about this, all these small farms and things like this, and if you do history, especially like with our meat, especially out west with our meat, and you see what happened to the small farmers with meat. I think this is going to happen on a bigger scale when it comes to our produce and things like that. And it's just going to hit in an entire different way. And let me break this down for you. So, we have all these debates about, Social Security. We have these debates about, how much this person should pay in taxes. We have these debates about people who receive things like SNAP, food stamps, welfare, whatever it may be, any type of government assistance. But we have to break down this one simple thing. Corporate America, they get welfare. Most rich, so-called rich people, they get welfare. And that's what it really boils down to. And what I dislike to see is that normal people who are really working, they get caught up in identity politics and all these things. And now we're going to see, we're about to see something that's really different, because a lot of farmers were subsidized by the government. Well, the government is cutting back, looking for cuts, all these different things. And we're talking about Medicaid too. So my thing is, I don't want to hear them complaining. Then the next thing, most of these states that vote red have a large population of immigrant employees, and I have nothing against it. I've always saw the play anyway. You have to always have somebody that's willing to do the lower labor, and that's the driving force into it. We just never want to admit the facts that most people want cheaper goods, services. So we're always going to look for what's cheaper. And that's just, we have to save money. But what starts to happen is we live in a society where we start pointing fingers, and we are never pointing the finger in the right direction. So really, the people at the bottom suffer. So now with all these things going on, y'all watch and see. A lot of businesses will close. How they're doing things, they're disrupting a lot of things. We're not even just talking about government jobs or anything. When they move these people out of these communities, shut these buildings down, a lot of things change. That means, whether it be the amount of people that attend public schools there, private schools, visit stores there, they take these government facilities out, and we're talking about some cuts in the thousands with some departments. So just think, if they're saying, okay, yeah, in this state or this city, we're going to eliminate 4,000 federal jobs, or we're going to ship them to a different place. Well, that economy there is going to suffer. And then what happens? Things are going to fall dirt cheap. We're talking about the farmers, and we're going to get back to the farmers. So all these farmers that voted for what they voted for. And I'm not saying anybody voted for whatever. I'm just going by the statistics. Most of these farm states, they voted red. So I'm lumping everybody in together. I'm sorry about that, but that's just, how we have to do that. But only thing that's going to happen, if you're not able to sustain, then you'll end up losing your farm. And this has happened over the years, in a lot of different industries. And then Big corporate America gets to come in, they get to buy it all up. And all this is just a plan across the board with these people who have the money and things like that. And the next thing I'll say is this, you know, the right ran on the platform about getting rid of DEI and all these things like that. Well, the world has changed, and really what they're saying is they have DEI and all these other things. If you notice these cabinets and things like that, those are their friends. So if that's not DEI, then what do you call it? Most of these people get favors and things because of their friends who they know. That's what everything. The whole thing is we have to stick to is that making things fair across the board, because corporate America, as far as race, gender, whatever, it tends to look a certain way. Most people in certain high positions, it tends to look a certain way. So, that's what those things were brought into place for. But we have to be real. And they made that a big talking point of we need to get away from that. And I agree, it should be on the merits, your work ethic, and who you are. And a lot of times it happens like that. I've never experienced anything when it comes to, being held back by anything. But what I don't like is labels. Don't label me as a Democrat, white, right wing person, a Republican, rhino. Don't say no DEI to me, because those things are programming words. That's all they are. And it's really childish when people keep saying it. To me, it's just a trigger to me. I'm just like, why you keep saying that? It's like they're programming you a certain way to think when they box you in a category. And then you start to really identify with these things, and you don't even think about it. You just start to identify with these things. No, I'm not identifying with that. I'm good. I'm keeping my mind on what it needs to be focused on. And that's very important. So, it's a lot of tough times, but I want everybody to be real. If you supported something, stick to what you supported, and be real too, because a lot of this stuff comes about is because we get caught in these ideologies and we're not really being real. And then it only hits you when it impacts you. So a lot of times you're oblivious to what's going on. And I remember reading an article on one of the Fox News, one of their personalities. He was saying that he got a text from one of his family members and was saying that these job cuts, are affecting them. And, that's the real big thing. So, it's going to start impacting people. You may not see it right now, but it's going to come. They have their plan. Corporate America has their plan. That's why they want everybody back. Everybody is doing the same thing. And if everybody is doing the same thing, then we know something is wrong. We can't have everybody doing the same thing at the same time. That means there's no individuality anywhere. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but from corporate America on now, everybody's doing the same thing. So they have their plan. You just have to be smart enough to see through the plans. And I hope, everybody gets through some of these difficult times ahead, but it will be that. But it all starts with identity politics and all these things. And that's why I don't pay any attention to any of those things. Believe what you believe, feel how you feel. That's your right. But don't get caught up into these blocks, because they get you in a block and then you start following that block. And the only thing you're going to be doing, you're going to be left to the side. And you'll start to see how these companies, they're trying to consolidate, take over, find their space in this world as we move forward. And the next thing I'll say is this. Technology is about to change all these things anyway. So the days when we talking about fossil fuel, gas, all these things, man, sit down somewhere. Man, if you even believe any of that hype, you are sadly mistaken. We even talking about technology now, like even when it comes to cameras. Most people have a phone that's better than most DSLR cameras, some of the most, advanced cameras. You can have a phone that can mimic that. You have a phone that can do all those things. So that's just one example. When you start thinking about things like this, when you have things that are battery powered now that can go for a long, long distance. And then it's, doesn't put out the harmful things in the world. You talking about something totally different there. And let's be real. I remember, a time when people used to have something simple, jumper cables. You had to pull over the side of the road, find somebody with some jumper cables to jump your car off the battery there. Man, now, man, they have these juice packs that'll start your car. This is not one, but this small. There's a lot of them this small, and some of them probably smaller. Y'all let me know. But yeah, you can get something like this. And then now they got these chargers that you can put out in the sun and keep your device charged. So you camping or anything else, you just use the sun. Same thing with solar power and all these things. So that's another thing that I'm confused about, because a lot of people on one side of the spectrum, and I'm gonna let y'all figure that out. I'm not gonna say left, right, left. It doesn't matter. But you vote against yourself, and then you vote without even thinking. That's the thing that really confuses me. It's like, like, it's not gonna work like that. You look at some of the people that's in their higher places. They don't live like regular people. Most of those people in the current administration, them people come from a lot of wealth. So unless you got some money like that, or you roll around with people like that, man, you out to leave. So yeah, that's different. And if you listen to some of these folks, listen to what they're really saying. They seeing the technology, they seeing the AI, they know all these things. This stuff is about to change. We have cars that drive themselves really now. So a lot of stuff, it's about to change. And think about how Lyft and Uber, I think they're both already testing out self-driving vehicles in different locations. So what's going to happen to that industry? People built the platform that's now, by being able to go to the airport, pick this person up, do this, and do this. Now they have a clientele, they have the base, they have all these things. Now, these cars are going to the, cities across the United States. They already doing their test runs. They're going to be able to run. Things about to change. Everything is technology based now. So you can't sit there and let somebody tell you, well, you're going to need this, and this, and this. You may need those things, but the world is moving forward. And what you don't want to do is be left behind. Don't get left behind. Stay smart, make smart decisions. And, what you can't do right now is get into battles with your neighbors. I say neighbors because these people you're going to see, these people you're going to be around. These are all these, these things that are going on. And then you get caught up in something. And when it gets turned against you, then you'll really see the meaning. So keep it real, keep it solid, and yeah, stay out the way. It's your boy GTO, Vibes with GTO. Yeah.